So imagine that we're in a universe where healing is a real thing. So, what do I mean by that? Sometimes you'll read online that there was a person who had cancer and then they got some sort of healing, and afterwards they were free, they were clear of it, they healed. And you'll see many of these types of things online. Some of them claim that spiritual healing fixed their issue, or they'll claim that some sort of mindset helped them with their issue. So they'll be like, oh, I just took this mindset, I focused on it every single day for X number of months, and then the issue went away. So in this video, I wanted to kind of explore the idea of what is the optimal state of mind, optimal state of self for healing. And this is also just a way for me to speculate, because this is something I'm trying to figure out for myself. So I'll kind of cover what I've learned and what I am thinking and what I'm experimenting with. So I'm also going to divide this into two different kind of sections. So there's more woo-woo section where it's kind of like no one knows, like there's anecdotes that this thing is real and can heal or what have you, but it's kind of like there's no real evidence. And then I'm gonna put it into the other category, is gonna be basically not exactly real evidence, but it's gonna be stuff that is possible and is very real. So I guess the one I'll start with is the more evidence-based and real. So imagine a scenario, you're some person that has some debilitating health issue. Doctors say it will kill you in like a year or something like that. Or maybe just imagine you're someone with a series of mysterious health issues like I have, and nobody knows what's going on, but more and more pain is happening every single day. So in that scenario, you would like for there to be some sort of, like, if doctors can't help you, then you'd like there to be some sort of other way of healing. So the question is, what is the, say if there was a way for the mind to be configured in a way that can heal an issue of the body, an issue of the physical body, what is that configuration? So there's kind of like a lot of hypotheticals here, and I think there's no known answer unless you experiment and find an answer. So this is also a part of my experimentation. At one point, I remember researching and read a story about a person that had some debilitating health issue, and what they did is they started every day for multiple hours each day. They would get into like a kind of meditative state, and while in that meditative state, what they would do is they would picture what they envisioned health and healing to be. So that's kind of a start. It's like, what do you picture healing to be? What comes up in your mind? What does that look like? What does your what does that future state of yourself look like? And so you get into that meditative state, and then you picture it, and I guess it was a lady, and she was pretty much saying that through doing that, through picturing that healing state for hours every day, she was able to heal her issue. And it didn't happen quickly. It was like, had to do it over time. So I thought that was really interesting, and that kind of clicks with me, because it seems really authentic. I don't know how it works. If I had to guess, it's like, you know, we don't know a lot about the mind, but the mind controls most of the body. So if you can get your mind to image something that you want, then through something in the mind, you can heal physical parts of your body, which is super interesting. So if you think about these health issues that you have, what are they? They're feelings. Also, just an aside, if you hear jazzy music, that's my roommate. I think that's a good addition to the video. It adds a certain vibe. I like that. But yes, again, if these health issues are pretty much just feelings, you are basically this observer that takes in signals. You can think of senses as signals. You're processing the external world, and when you get pain from a health issue, that's just a signal that you're observing. It's just a feeling. So going off of that, when you're in that meditative state and you want to put your ego in the best position for healing, well, you can imagine a state of being, a state of self, where you're getting those signals, you're getting those feelings, well, that's the thing, you're not getting those. You're imagining a state where you're getting the feelings and signals that you think that you should be feeling, that you would prefer to feel. So, for example, I get a lot of mysterious pains in my stomach, my chest, my head, muscle spasms, bad feelings pretty much. So I would imagine feeling a state of being where the signals I'm getting are, well, that's just the thing. There aren't signals. So I'm existing without those signals. And you imagine that, and it feels, good. So I guess the signal you get is mostly a signal of nothing, but also a signal of a good feeling from that nothing, because you prefer that nothing over the pain signals. So this is way in the weeds, way crazy stuff. But if you're trying to heal from a health issue, then gotta do what you gotta do. So this is kind of like the more logical solution to healing, because you can literally change the way you think. You can change your mind, and if there is an optimal way of having your mind that can help your body heal, then you might as well try it. You might as well put your mind into that optimal state and see if it heals your body. And one thing about it is it may be kind of hard to confirm. It's like, oh yeah, I put my mind into this state and then my body healed. Well, how do you prove that? I don't know if you really can. I think the only proof for that would be examining that person's personality. If to be able to change their personality into the optimal state for healing, they're gonna have to. There's gonna be certain qualities that will probably be very positive, be very hardworking, very. You could look historically at people who were enlightened, and if that person gives off sort of that kind of vibe, then it probably means they're not lying, that they literally use their mind to heal their body. So that's incredibly interesting, and that's the logical way. The not logical way, it's a bit woo-woo. Okay. So it's hard to gather my thoughts on this because it's so woo-woo. But basically, this is my understanding, remember. So you have yourself. So there's many layers to this. So there's the self, which is formless. It only observes. It's formless and it observes. Then you have the ego, which is your mind, emotions, thoughts, all of that. And then you also, well, I'm gonna leave it at that. So actually, these aren't like direct categories, but these are different concepts. So you have the self, you have the ego. Sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. So you have self, you have the ego, you have the external world. So the external world is anything that is not self. So it's not the formless thing that observes. So what that means is your ego is actually the external world. Losing my train of thought, this stuff is hard to get down. But, so basically throughout my life, I've just kind of like learned these things through experience, but I have been on somewhat of a spiritual journey, and I just wanted to answer the question, what is God? And I guess it's kind of subjective, but to me, it is everything and nothing. It is the unknown. And I don't know how else better to explain that. But something I've noticed is that self is the same. Self is everything and nothing. Self is unknown. It's formless. So there's kind of, I don't like to call it God because of all the meaning that society has put on that. I like to call it kind of like the divine. Sounds kind of cool. So if you think of it that way, it's kind of like self is the divine. Everything and nothing is the divine. Which in a weird kind of way that means that even the ego and the external world is the divine as well in a weird way. There's kind of like a relationship between the divine and the external world that I'm still trying to understand. But anyway, where am I going with this? So, if the divine is self, the thing that observes, and the divine is everything and nothing, then that means it's everything and nothing. So, literally, your body is made of atoms. Like, there's a finite number of atoms that make up your body, and it's just your body and your mind and everything that makes you is just a configuration of atoms. So, you would think that through this like divine, this self, there's a way to get healing from that. So it's basically like it's everything and it's nothing. So it can, if it's everything, it has the ability to do everything. So that includes healing some sort of element of the body. So with that in mind, that's my hypothesis, how people have literally been healed physically through spiritual stuff. Don't know for sure. That's my thought. So yeah, if I had to summarize that in a small amount of information that can be remembered, I would say one possible way for physical healing is to configure the ego as so that it optimizes for healing. And figuring out how to do that is incredibly hard and maybe even subjective. But that's one way. And that includes changing thoughts, emotions, whatever else makes up the mind. And then the second way is through kind of like the spiritual, the divine, God, what have you, whatever you want to call it. And it's more woo-woo. But it's also more intuitive. Like, as I think about it, something about it's kind of intuitive. I guess because that area is kind of known for that kind of stuff. Like, when people have issues, they go there, and then the issues are randomly fixed out of the blue, out of nowhere. And maybe that's just their advertisement. Maybe that's how they make their money. But there's some anecdotes that seem pretty real. Yeah, this video has been kind of all over the place. And I might make some more videos that are more like focused specifically on different parts of this, and where I'm not just kind of jumping everywhere. But if you thought this was interesting or you learned something, then feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.